I just know my baby called me on the phone, FaceTime me, and she said, "Mom, help me." And by that time, he hung her phone up. And that's the last time I heard her voice. I was there for about 3 minutes before I heard 2 gunshots go off. And I could just remember running up to the house and the officers telling me to go back to my car.
On April 29th, 2020.
Stick around with me, guys. This story here is one of the craziest I've ever come across. Without going much into details, I want you to stick around with me and enjoy this. Let's go.
22. Lauren Juma was held at gunpoint and fatally shot inside her own bedroom by her mother's longtime live-in boyfriend,
What?
60-year-old Henry Brisben. Lauren was a sophomore at Nimitz High School in Houston who had just made the cheer squad she'd always dreamed of joining. Her life was just beginning, until it was tragically cut short by a man everyone believed could never hurt her.
It's always like that.
He is my uncle.
It's always like that.
For him, but at the same time, you have to understand that people have to be accountable for their actions.
Sure.
If we don't hold people accountable for the things that they do wrong, then people will continue to do wrong. You can't determine what's right or what's wrong
Exactly.
based off of a blood relation. I love my uncle to death. I swear I do. But I will never be able to understand how he did something like this to Lauren. He loved Lauren, and Lauren loved the life out of him. How he could take her life from her, I can never understand it.
But the most devastating fact of this case isn't her death itself.
It's crazy.
It's what deputies discovered when they arrived at that house. Lauren's body, found with her clothes in disarray, and Brisben walking out the front door calmly while adjusting his pants, with just 4 words to the officers at the scene: "Do what you have to do." Before we get too deep, please remember to like, comment.
Why was he adjusting his pants? Why was he adjusting his pants? Make that make sense.
Lauren described her as friendly, caring, someone everyone wanted to be around.
Yeah, I met her in the 7th grade. When she first moved here, we was all cool. We used to play basketball, you know what I mean? Outside, used to just chill. But she was cool.
That's my little bro there,
nice,
XXX.
You know, very loving, you know.
And she had plans that stretched beyond high school. She wanted to join the United States Air Force, like her older sister Karika, who was already serving, or maybe become a police officer. Everyone around her saw a future for Lauren, one that was bright and full of possibility, and she was just getting started. By the spring of 2022, she was a sophomore at Nimitz High School and just made it into the school cheerleading squad, a milestone that marked the beginning of something new. But on April 29th, 2022, Lauren's mother had to leave town for work training in Austin, which meant Lauren would be spending the night at home with her mother's boyfriend, a man named Henry Brisben, who lived with them in their home on Canton Trace Lane. Henry Brisben was 60 years old at the time of the fatal incident, 4 decades older than Lauren, and he'd been in a relationship with Lori Young for at least 5 years, living in the family's Texas home for the last 3 of those years. According to some reports, Brisben had allegedly faced charges decades earlier in Phoenix and Chicago, though the details of those cases remained unclear, and no convictions were publicly confirmed at the time of his arrest in 2022. What we do know is that Lori Young trusted him enough to have him living under the same roof as her daughter. Now it's been reported that in all the years Brisben lived with Lauren and her mother, Sajjad never once met the man, even during visits to pick up his daughter. According to Sajjad, Brisben remained someone he knew existed, but never actually encountered face-to-face, and the relationship between Lori and Van seemed stable enough on the surface that she trusted him to leave 16-year-old Lauren in his care on that particular night when she had to leave for Austin. In the early hours of April 29th, 2022, Lauren woke up to find Van Brisben standing in her darkened bedroom, watching her in a way that made her immediately understand something was very wrong. She grabbed her phone and FaceTimed her mother in Austin, quote, "Mom, he's acting weird. she told her, asking her to tell Brisben to leave her room, which Lori did audibly over the call. At some point, Lauren's voice changed to something more urgent and terrified. Quote, "Mom, he has a gun."
Why?
Then the call disconnected.
I just know my baby called me.
Listen. You'll be having... I like it when people tell me that I have trust issues. It should be like that because you can never predict the intentions of a man. You can never predict their action. So whatever your instinct tells you, just do it. You shouldn't be trusting people just like that. Just because he's your boyfriend. Like, come on, man. You could have known better.
On the phone, FaceTime me. And she said, "Mom, help me." And by that time, he hung her phone up. And that's the last time I heard her voice.
Lauren
So
immediately
sad.
called her sister,
It's very sad.
19-year-old Kerika, telling her she needed to be picked up right now. And he, Brisben, was being really weird. Kerika didn't hesitate. She drove toward Canton Trace Lane while simultaneously calling 911 to report that her mother's boyfriend was holding her sister at gunpoint.
And I was there for about 3 minutes before I heard two guns go off. And I could just remember running up to the house and the officers telling me to go back to my car.
Harris County Sheriff's deputies were already en route when Kerika pulled up to the house. And what happened next unfolded in a matter of minutes.
Wolford, WOLFFORD, Harris County Sheriff's Office Homicide Unit. This morning, approximately 1:05 a.m., Precinct 4 Constable's Office was dispatched out to 2400 block of Canton Trace Lane in reference to a weapons disturbance. A young female called 911 and advised that her sister was being held captive at gunpoint inside the residence by her mother's boyfriend.
So sick.
Constables went en route to the scene. When they arrived, approaching the residence, they heard one gunshot coming from inside the residence, heard screaming, and then a second gunshot shortly thereafter. Almost immediately, a male exited the residence and basically stated, "Y'all do what you have to do." They then took him into custody. The constable's deputies entered the residence.
Sorry guys.
They found a deceased 16-year-old female who had suffered multiple gunshot wounds inside the residence. The mother's boyfriend and the 16-year-old female were the only two inside the residence when this occurred. He is currently down at the homicide unit offices where he will be hopefully questioned and talk to investigators. As of now, he hasn't been really cooperative, so we don't know what a motive for this is. We do know that the mother was out of town. And she has since returned. She immediately
she
came
has
back.
to.
We do have information that she had been on the phone with the 16-year-old prior to her murder.
Van Brisben walked out of the house, pulling up his pants, and told the officers at the scene 4 words, quote, "Do what you have to do."
Wow.
Inside, deputies found Lauren deceased, with evidence that suggested Brisben had intended to assault her before taking her life. Both the condition in which she was found and the state Brisben was in when he exited the home pointed to a motive that went beyond anything a family who'd trusted this man for 5 years could have imagined. From the moment of his arrest, deputies noted he was intoxicated and refused to cooperate. He declined to speak with detectives or explain what had happened inside the home. As he was a lawful resident and would not consent to search, deputies had to obtain a warrant before they could fully process the crime scene and recover critical evidence.
What could push a 60-year-old full-grown man to murder a 16-year-old girl? You dating her mom. What pushed you to do that? You know, there are some things you can never explain till you find out that these people are mentally ill.
Weapon, forensic samples, and items establishing the attempted assault. He was charged with capital murder. the capital designation stemming from the element of sexual assault that prosecutors believed had occurred or been intended.
Okay,
his bond was set at $1 million, but later doubled.
Bond is now increased to $2 million for the man accused of killing his girlfriend's 16-year-old daughter Friday. Van Brisben is charged in the death of Nimitz High School sophomore Lauren Juma. And tonight, we're learning more disturbing details about the crime following Brisben's court appearance today. Aniele Ruiz is here to walk us through what happened. Aniele, we understand there could even be some changes to his charges.
Too many assaults out there.
It all depends on the evidence that investigators gather, but we do know that so far as of today, his bond was increased from $1 million to $2 million.
They don't want to get him out of jail.
It was an emotional hearing for family members of 16-year-old Lauren Juma and also for family members of her alleged killer. Monday morning was 60-year-old Van Brisben's first court appearance after he was charged with murdering Lauren.
The evening of April 29th, the same day Lauren's life was taken, her community gathered for a vigil that brought together everyone who'd known her, classmates, teachers, neighbors, and, most notably, her Nimitz High School cheerleading squad, who showed up in uniform to honor one of their own. The vigil ended with a balloon release and the cheer squad performance.
Listen, we all need self-control. We all need discipline. There are so many people in jail. Let me say even 90% of incarcerated men and women in jail was a lack of self-control. If you can't control your anger, you can't control hate, you can't control urges, desire, you just lose control. That's how it works. You do something stupid, that will make you end up in jail. So we all need some sort of self-control and discipline, and also we should know the kind of people we trust. You can never predict a person's intentions until he has done something really crazy.
In the days that followed, a GoFundMe was created to help the family with funeral expenses and raised over $20,000.
Wow.
On May 7th, 2022, Lauren's funeral was held at Pilgrim Journey Baptist Church in Richmond, Texas, with viewing at noon and service at 1 in the afternoon. And afterward, she was laid to rest at Murphy Jones Cemetery in Fort Bend County, and Cheer Squad once again honored her with a performance.
Are they doing that in the church? That's so sad. It's really crazy taking an innocent life like that. Okay. 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 That's a great performance. That's a great performance. I wish they did that on her wedding day. I wish they really did that on her wedding day, not at a funeral, because this is so sad.
I'm sorry that y'all missed it, but I just see just, but I...
Come on, this thing is bugging.
Trying to make sure that she got her Google Docs.
Lauren's father, Sajjad, and stepmother, Christina, spoke to reporters, with Sajjad remembering his daughter as caring and beloved by everyone who knew her.
He does not need to be let go or set free because that a monster like that.
Yeah, he's a monster.
That would kill
An innocent
an
girl.
innocent little girl. That he was in
He
her
deserves
life, that she
capital
trusted
charges.
for years. Death is too good for him.
It's too good.
When he walked outside and said do what you gotta do, that was he was looking for death.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's
It's too good for him. Throw his ass in jail.
Rot in prison.
Yeah.
Like that, I'm gonna give me a job, and that's what she did. And I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to get my own car. And that's what she recently just did.
While the family and community grieved, the legal process moved forward. Brisben remained in Harris County Jail on that $2 million bond, and prosecutors began building their case for capital murder. And in October 2024, he went to trial, more than 2 years after Lauren's death.
Wow.
The proceedings lasted
Took
9
very
days,
long.
with Assistant District Attorneys Katie Warren and Gina Gilmore presenting body camera footage from the night of the incident, forensic examination results, crime scene photographs, and testimony about what had been found inside that house on Canton Trace Lane. According to lead prosecutor Katie Warren, the jury heard, quote, body cam recordings of the victim's screams, cries for help, and then gunshots, which were not easy to listen to.
Yeah.
And Harris County District Attorney Kim Ogg was direct in her characterization of what had occurred. Quote, this defendant was a predator with a gun, and his choice to hurt a young girl and take her life was senseless and horrific.
Nobody should
On
do
October
that.
17th, 2024, after hearing all the evidence and deliberating, they came back with their verdict: guilty of capital
murder.
And the mandatory sentence for capital murder, when death isn't sought, is life without the possibility of parole.
That's
which
all.
meant Henry Brisben, now 62 years old, would spend the rest of his life in prison.
He would die in prison. He would die in prison. He's not coming out for any reason.
You have to understand
we don't need predators like him on the streets.
If we don't hold people accountable for the things that they do wrong, then people will continue to do wrong. You can't determine what's right or what's wrong based off of a blood relation.
But beyond the courtroom, another narrative was unfolding. One that played out in comment sections and social media posts, where people who claimed to know the family were telling two very different stories. Some people pointed to alleged abuse, saying the signs were there: bruises, complaints, red flags that should have triggered intervention. They argued that Lauren had been failed by the people who should have protected her, that someone should have seen what was coming. Others pushed.
These are one of the things I hate about neighbors, you know. Everybody seems concerned in other people's issues, but when it's time to talk, especially in the black community, no one is talking. Why? Because they'll be called snitches. So nobody is talking. And this is the result. These are some of the crazy stuff that happen when we refuse to talk about the bad things people are doing. Forget about people's opinions by calling you snitches or whatever. Just call the police. Just step in and help a brother or help a sister.
Back hard, saying that's exactly the problem with social media speculation, which don't need facts, but just opinion. Someone claimed to have known Lauren personally, and her words were direct. Quote, honestly, I DC what anyone else thinks. I knew Lauren. That man beat that little girl. She would come to school all bruised from him. She's come to my house many times after leaving her house because of him. Her mother was wrong for leaving her there with him, knowing how he treated her. That girl had so much to live for, and he just took it all away from her.
Her mom ruined her life.
I'm more upset about the way she passed more than her passing. She just got her first job and moved schools to better herself, and it all got taken in a blink of an eye. After that man touched her, and she told her mom, and her mom told her, "You're crazy. Stop telling those serious lies." Like her own mother failed her. And another, claiming to be the family's neighbor, offered a completely different perspective. Quote, they are my neighbor. I am very close to them and will say, Lori, whom is Lauren's mother, is a great mother who loves her daughter and daughters very much. She was so
she let down her guard. That's it. There's no room for justification for people's misconduct. When your baby girl or your baby boy turns up to you and tell you this is what is happening, someone is hurting me, I need you to intervene, whether that person is your husband, she's your wife, an uncle, an auntie, a cousin, a friend, whatever it is, just intervene. Protect your offsprings. Protect them. You all get blinded by love and then you start doing dumb stuff. Alright guys, we bring this to an end and watch out for more videos from police body cam, true crime stories, dash cams and all of that. And bloody duckers. Peace. Ciao. Shalom.